Please join me in welcoming Lonnie Ali.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you to the millions of people who have sent their thoughts and prayers in love in every language from every corner of the globe. My family and I are truly grateful and deeply humbled. My husband struggled many years with Parkinson's disease. He had good days and bad days. But even in the most difficult moments, he never allowed the disease to shake his faith or his optimism. Instead, he chose to embrace a spirit of selflessness and kindness and love. A few years ago, he said, when it was time for him to go, to use his life and his death as a teaching moment for young people, for his country, and for the world. That is what he wanted. That was his desire. Muhammad wanted to remind people that even though he had seen the face of injustice and lived through segregation, he refused to give up on his dreams or his desire for a better world for all people. He wanted to remind people that even though he saw his friends, Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King, gunned down, and Nelson Mandela imprisoned, he rejected violence. Muhammad faced federal prosecution. He was stripped of his title and his license to box. He was sentenced to prison. But he wanted to teach the world that you don't have to abandon your principles out of fear. He wanted young people of every background to see his life as proof that adversity cannot rob you of the power to realize your dreams, that adversity can make you stronger, that it can lead to triumph and greatness. Muhammad didn't achieve greatness just on his own. Part of his success was great timing and good people who reached out to him and helped him along the way. My husband grew up in an era of Jim Crow, but he was born into a loving family and to teachers who taught him who cared. When his red bicycle was stolen when he was 12 years old, a white police officer named Joe S.B. Martin handed him the keys to a future in boxing he could scarcely have imagined. America must never forget that when a cop and an inner city kid talk to each other, miracles can happen. It's true. Then an experiment in old money and young talent called the Louisville Sponsoring Group built him a runway to launch his career. Muhammad always remembered what others did for him. And as he took his championship fights to the ends of the earth, from the South Pacific to Europe to the Belgian Congo, the boy from Grand Avenue in Louisville, Kentucky, discovered that the world really wasn't black and white at all. It was filled with many shades of rich colors, languages, and religions. The rich and powerful were drawn to him, but he became drawn to the poor and the forgotten. He fell in love with the masses, and they fell in love with him. In the diversity of people and their faiths, Muhammad saw the presence of God. He was captivated by the work of the Dalai Lama and Mother Teresa, and the church workers who gave their lives to protect the poor. Later, even though he was slowed by Parkinson's disease, Muhammad was compelled to use his gifts to support the victims of poverty and strife. He pressed on, whether as a UN messenger of peace to a war-torn Afghanistan, advocating in Europe to reduce the yoke of third world debt, raising funds for scientific research, or intervening in the release of hostages in the Middle East. As his voice grew softer, his message took on greater meaning. He came full circle with the people of his country. At the Olympics in 1996 in Atlanta, he lit a torch that seemed to create a new light. And even though he had once challenged his government, Muhammad never ran from America. He loved this country. He understood the hard choices that are born of freedom. And he knew that a big part of what makes America truly great is our willingness to serve others. I am inspired by that spirit of service and selflessness, and I see it in all of you here today. I see it in this room. I see it in the changemakers who've overcome their own adversity to make someone else's journey just a little bit easier. I see it in the young people who are ready to volunteer their time and their efforts in order to make their country and world a more generous, compassionate, peaceful place to live. Muhammad's spirits rose over these last couple of months as we prepared to be with you here today. He had been looking forward to this event. He often said, "Service is the rent you pay for your room here on earth." The idea of a gift of 75 hours came to me during a conversation about this particular event. Muhammad always asked me, or people would always ask me, what they could do for Muhammad. The man really didn't need anything, but he was so touched by the idea of so many people around the world being willing to celebrate his 75th birthday by dedicating 75 hours of service to others. And he was so proud to see people embracing the 6 core principles that empowered him to change himself and the world. Confidence, a belief in oneself, one's abilities, and one's future. Conviction, a firm belief that gives one the courage to stand behind that belief, despite pressure to do otherwise. Dedication, the act of devoting all of one's energy, effort, and abilities to a certain task. Giving, to present voluntarily without expecting something in return. And respect, esteem for or a sense of the worth of excellence for oneself and for others. And of course, spirituality, a sense of awe and reverence and inner peace, inspired by a connection to all of creation and to that which is greater than oneself. The time has come for all of us to pick up the torch from Muhammad and to shine our own light on the places and the people who have been trapped in the shadows for too long. For as we face uncertainty in the world and the divisions at home, Muhammad's life takes on an even more special meaning that cannot be overlooked. In the face of anger and criticism and ugliness and hate, my husband never gave up on the power of understanding and the boundless possibilities of love and the strength of our diversity. He was friends with people of all political persuasions, saw the truth in all faiths, and the nobility of all races. He believed the soul of a nation could be measured by the goodness of its people, and I see that goodness here in this room. So I asked you to pick up that torch. I asked you to keep that light burning, and in honor of my husband's memory, I asked you to prove that there is Ali in all of us, and find your own greatness in the love and service that you provide to each other and to the world that we wish to see. Thank you very much. Thank you.